Today I'm joined by a very special guest, the Honourable Lynda Tabuya, Member for Parliament in the country of Fiji. Welcome today, Lynda.
Bula vinaka, thank you, Letitia. It's really wonderful to be with you here today on a very bright and sunny day here in Suva, Fiji.
That's good, yes. Well, it's quite cloudy and rainy here, which we need the rain. Now, Lynda, you're also a really close friend of mine, and we have something in common. We went to school together many, many moons ago. But also last year in January, before COVID hit, we launched something really important in Fiji, and that's Fiji Free from Porn. So why have you particularly decided to take up this cause?
Thank you, Letitia. I have chosen to take up this cause because I haven't seen anyone else here do it. I was very inspired when you visited last year, along with your colleague. Please remind me her name again. I apologize, Letitia.
It's Wendy Francis.
Wendy, what an amazing woman Wendy is, along with yourself, coming here to really educate us and start this journey together to establish Fiji Free from Porn. We're not even 1 million people, but the flooding of the market with smartphones as well as available and free data and cost-effective and cheap data by the biggest companies here, which is Vodafone and Digicel, has seen a sharp increase in the access of smartphones by young people. I have teenagers of my own, and they are on all the platforms, Instagram and Snapchat, as well as having, unlimited easy access to the internet. So when we met last year, I think it was right about the right time, Letitia. I had just been in Parliament for just over a year, and I felt I needed a cause to get behind that would speak directly for our children. And I've always been a child advocate at heart. The NGOs and community work that I've done in my lifetimes to date have been involved in the rights and the protection of children in those organizations. So this just spoke to my heart, Letitia, and I needed to take up this cause, to take it all the way to Parliament. I felt it was my responsibility to do so, and so that's really this.
Yeah. Did you, when you say no one was talking about it, is it because they were just not aware of the magnitude of the problem, or is there a reticence to speak out around pornography in your culture?
Both. I think both. There is always the cultural issues, including taboos around talking about sex. Sex education in our schools is still not a subject. It's still not available in schools. It's still hush-hush, even though we've seen an increase in teenage pregnancies as well as sexually transmitted diseases amongst teenagers, even as young as 15 and 14 in the schools. So, the issues are there. People are just not making the connection. So school teachers and principals that I've spoken with are dealing with this issue of pornography in schools. And it's in the class 7, class 8 students, which is on average around the world is about that age, 11 to 12. So we're experiencing it in Fiji. They're just not making the connection that that it is connected to the behaviors of teenagers that they're struggling with at school. So I think we're here to make that connection, Letitia. We're here to raise that awareness, and it needs to be done.
In your recent speech in Parliament back in February, you were calling on the government to define child porn in the Crimes Act, but you made the statement that our children are in grave danger. Just explain that a bit more.
Well, before in our time, I guess, Letitia, there was pornographic material, in magazines and videos in movie stores, where you are removed from it, and so it's not right there in front of you. But to this day and age, kids have smartphones and they are in their rooms locked up for hours on end and accessing pornography for free on the internet. The enemy has come right into our lives, daily lives. Every minute, every day, you're confronted with these issues of pornography. And so our children are in danger. They do not know what is best for them at any time when it comes to this. So I feel responsible as a parent to protect my children. I feel responsible as a leader, a national leader here in my country, to protect our children, because the government isn't doing it. I've raised this issue of pornography. I raised it last year in February, and I raised it again this year in February. Last year, I had a huge opposition from government, claiming that, I'm making a big issue out of nothing because, people have the rights to access porn. And how can the government control it? They don't have the ability to do so because people will just find another way to access it if you outlaw it. I think that's just a poor excuse of people that don't understand the issue. Yep. Or they are porn users themselves.
That can be, the crux of it at times. So, when you're saying our children are in grave danger, I don't think it's an overstatement at all. And I've spoken to a man called Peter Schultz, who lives in Suva, Australian man, but he's involved in the prison and helping sex offenders assimilate back into society. And he says that 100% of sex offenders have had addictions to pornography. So, quite often it starts at childhood. And I think, as you said, parents just have no idea what their kids are doing when they're in their rooms and how to approach it. Because, as you said, it's not a topic that Fijians talk about easily. So as a parent, you're a mother of 6 amazing children. Ranging from 3 to 20-something, so you're still in the thick of it. 2 teenage daughters, good on you. So you talked about doing a phone audit regularly on your children. How does that go about? Does all hell break loose, or how does it go about in your household?
Look, hell always breaks loose for anyone that has teenage children. But I'm just, for me, I'm in their faces. If I see a door closed for longer than 20 minutes, I get worried. I go and open the door and I'm like, what are you doing? So I'm in their faces, and I get pushback all the time. I'm not respecting their privacy, and I'm not giving them the space they need. But I think for us parents, we have to do this. We have to be in their faces because no one else will. It's not the teacher's job to do it. It's not their friends or their friends' parents to do it. It's not for the government. It's for us parents. Now, I know there was a challenge against me when I spoke about pornography in Parliament. It was from the Minister for Women, and she said, at the end of the day, it's the responsibility of the parents, and she's correct. However, the parents need the help of the government to enact laws, to bring in laws, to enforce the ability to reduce access to pornography by our children. So we need political will as well as our parents to do this. So I conduct the phone audit because I think it's important that we know what our children are viewing on their phones. And it could be really innocent, but it's for us to step in as adults to be there for them because, like I said, no one else will, and we need to take that step to protect our children. With the right to have, fast bandwidth and Wi-Fi at home comes a responsibility, and you're teaching your child that, to be responsible with what they receive or get for free in their hands.
So just during Parliament, your speech again, you talked about what you did find on one of your daughter's phones. Can you tell us again? Because I think that's the reality of what's going on.
Yes. So I was doing a phone audit and I noticed a profile of a person that was chatting with my 12-year-old daughter. And I saw the way that the conversation was going. She was quite abrupt, she just gave little answers. But he was basically saying, how are you? Where do you go to school? What do you do? Such basically asking her innocent questions, and she was answering. And then he said, I don't have many friends. I would like to become friends with you. And she said, and she does the smile emojis or shy emojis. And then he kept insisting. And then she asked, she says, tell me about yourself. And then he says, well, I'm a 41-year-old man, single man can we be friends? So she didn't answer after that. And so I see, obviously she was confronted with this, but she didn't speak out and say, I'm sorry, I can't talk to you because you're a stranger, but she didn't respond. So she just left it in that when I got her phone. So it's very scary, because my child would not be out on the street talking to a 41-year-old man. She would know that herself. If the person was in front of him, she wouldn't do it. But she is chatting with him. So the fact that she can't see him should not make a difference. He could very well be next door or down the road and come up to her and say, hey, I've been chatting with you on Instagram. And she would feel that familiarity to basically break the barrier of being a stranger. And she'd be like, oh, yeah. And then a friendship forms, and without you knowing as a parent, something else happens from there. We just need to be vigilant as parents to show our children the reality of what's going on.
Absolutely. And one day they will thank you for it, the fact that they had parents that love them enough to protect them. So look, final question, how do you talk to your children about pornography? What type of language do you use? How often do you talk to them? What are some tips you can give the parents of Fiji today?
Well, no parent is perfect, and I'm far from perfect, but I know pornography is the new drug for our children. I know that it is wrong for our children to even have access to pornography. Pornography contains things they don't understand, they can't comprehend as children. It also portrays a lot of violence, violence against women and girls. It makes violence look good, and children will think that it's right, that it's okay when it's not. So, we all know the dangers of pornography to a young developing mind. When I address it with my children, I just come straight out and I said, look, are you viewing pornography? I asked them first, they know what pornography is. I asked my 11-year-old when Amira was 11, I asked her, do you know pornography? She goes, yes. How do you know? Oh, we talk about it at school. And it broke my heart when she first told me that. So now afterwards, when I say, are your friends still showing it to you? Yes, sometimes they talk to me about it. And what do? I just don't say anything, or I walk away. So it's baby steps of how they handle what their friends are showing them. We have a blanket rule at home. They don't sleep over to the homes. We just feel they can stay till 11 p.m. at a friend's place and we pick them up. But they are viewing this and talking about it with their friends and those around them. So when I address it with them, I want them to be honest with me on what they're doing with their friends. I want them to be honest with me about what they're viewing on their phones. And the phone audit is what I do to ensure that any of that material that comes in, that I can address it with them. And I do so with love. And I try to teach them. Of course, there are consequences. I sometimes take their phone away for a few days. They know there's consequences. But it has to be done with love, because then they will cooperate the next time you have that conversation with them.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. Look, the fact that you're creating an open space in your home and in your family to have these conversations is so important, because if we don't, the porn industry is talking to our children. I'm going to put a link up with this interview for just a brilliant website called Protect Young Minds, and it's probably one of the best to help parents know how to have these conversations, what to do when they find out that their kids are watching porn. I think the worst thing we can do is erupt like a volcano, because they'll never come back to us and talk. But just being able to walk them through. So there's some great practical steps there too.
Yeah, they're curious, they're curious. So we can't try to suppress curiosity. I think we need to embrace it, but we need to do so guiding them with it and teaching them what's healthy and what's not. And pornography is just not healthy at all. It is so bad for them, and it's addictive. And of course, there's all empirical evidence, all sorts of evidence about what pornography does to a young mind. And it's as addictive as as hard drugs, and the consequences to children and consequently adults are devastating. And we need to nip it in the bud. We need to love our children and teach them responsibility, as they develop.
Yeah. Through the Fiji Free From Porn campaign, we've been interviewing a bunch of probably younger people in their 20s who have had porn addictions, and the overwhelming issue in each of their lives is that everyone was silent. The families, the church, the schools. So what you're really doing is lifting the lid on the silence, speaking out, raising awareness, and we want to particularly empower the parents of Fiji to begin to have these conversations because it's vital.
Yeah, it's baby steps. I mean, Letitia, you've seen the progress, that we've made from a year ago to this year in February, and then the media picked it up and did a whole story on the effects of pornography and how advocating for it was very important, and we need to raise the profile of this fight against the new drug and, protecting young minds and just being persistent. So thank you, Letitia, for just supporting us here in Fiji and caring enough for us here in Fiji, that we are working together to ensure that our children are protected and that they are loved in the right way.
No, thank you, Lynda. Well, along with this interview, I'm going to put on also the phone number of Pastor Manasa, who is really happy to talk to anyone. If you're struggling with porn, get help, reach out. You're not alone. There's people in Fiji who can walk alongside you and help you. So thank you so much for tuning in today.